Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahawashi, Bahasham, Barakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. In peace and salutations to you, sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure unto the end. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson, and I'll be reading from an article on Benzinga.com titled, Elon Musk wants AI satellites to block the sun with tiny adjustments in solar energy and says Earth has been a snowball many times in the past. Hey, just another clear example of showing the megalomania of Esau Edom, the so-called white man, his God complex, trying to do everything contrary to the law, statutes, and commandments, and trying to sit in the seat of the Most High and show himself as the Most High, as it says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, which we're going to get in a few. But the article reads, Elon Musk spends plenty of time talking about Mars, but every now and then he actually swings back to the planet that actually needs saving, not colonizing. And why does the planet need saving? Because the earth has been given into the hands of the wicked. And with that being the case, he does everything, like I just said, completely contrary to the laws, statutes, and commandments, and the earth is suffering for it. This is Isaiah chapter 24. I'm going to start at verse 4. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty or the proud people of the earth do languish. And when we get that word languisheth, it's H535, amal, which says to be weak, to droop, to languish, to be exhausted, to be or grow feeble. Chemtrails, strip mining lands for their resources, deforestation, microplastics, cell and Wi-Fi radiation, nuclear waste, all these things that, can be trailed right back to Esau Edom, which is causing the earth to languish and the people on it as well. And what's the reason for it? Verse 5, the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Esau Edom doing everything clean contrary to the laws, statutes, and commandments, which is the only way, to govern this planet and to govern the people on it. Okay, what's going on? A few weeks ago, he jumped onto X with a proposal that sounded part climate engineering, part sci-fi storyboard. He suggested that a vast constellation of AI-driven satellites could tweak the amount of sunlight reaching the Earth, a solution to global warming delivered straight from orbit. Musk laid out in a blunt message, a large solar-powered AI satellite constellation would be able to prevent global warming by making tiny adjustments in how much solar energy reached Earth, he wrote. And if you notice, before Esau Edom came into power, issues like this, weren't taking place. What are we talking about? We need to adjust, the amount of solar radiation getting to the earth to stop global warming, just a bunch of nonsense. A large solar-powered AI satellite constellation would be able to prevent global warming by making tiny adjustments in how much solar energy reached Earth. One follower asked the obvious question, how can satellites do this without knocking the climate off balance or setting off global fights over who controls the planet's temperature? Musk replied with a single word. He answered, yes. Then he expanded, it would only take tiny adjustments to prevent global warming or global cooling for that matter. He wrote, Earth has been a snowball many times in the past. And, whenever Esau Edom comes with some solution to make the environment and the people better, you always notice things just get worse. And, this is just another, means for Esau to have control over the people, because that person made a good point. They said, how can satellites do this without knocking the climate off balance or setting off global fights over who controls the planet's temperature, which would be a very, significant, warfare weapon and, a means to get people to do what you want. We already know through, HARP, Doppler radars, and his DEW system he's got with these satellites. Esau already deals in, weather modification and manipulation to his own means, usually to just further oppress the people out here. Salakia, one of these janky websites. Musk laid it out in a blunt message. A large solar-powered AI satellite constellation would be able to prevent global heating, YouTube's algorithms, by making tiny adjustments in how much I think I just read this. Yes. The idea lands squarely in the world of solar geoengineering. That field explores ways to reduce incoming sunlight in order to cool the planet. Some researchers study reflective aerosols. Others examine cloud brightening or space-based shades. Musk's concept adds another version, a high-tech sun dimmer powered by satellites and guided by AI. It leans on the thousands of Starlink units already in orbit under space, only on a scale far beyond anything currently flying. The scientific community has already published warnings long before Musk echoed the idea. A piece from the Columbia Climate School points out that research does not yet capture the full consequences of interfering with sunlight. It notes that studies show possible weakening of the ozone layer and shifts in rainfall that could reshape farming, ecosystems, and air quality. The author says Earth's climate reacts in complex ways and that blocking sunlight could deliver surprises no one wants. And, if Esau were allowed to continue ruling and do these things, all these, negative scenarios would take place. I mean, just look at what he's done to the planet, and the people on it within these last, 500 years or so of his rulership. This earth is definitely in need of new management. And, that you got that movie Snowpiercer, which the movie started off with, I believe, they might have been doing something to, block out the solar rays from the sun, or, because the planet was heating up or something like that. I just remember it started off with, big jets in the sky with, chemtrail streams behind them. And then it cuts to, the present, like 20 years in the future. And you see that the planet went through a whole ice age. So, hey, if Esau Edom were allowed to continue ruling, no flesh would be saved, as it says in Matthew chapter 24, verse 2. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. And Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai has been shortening, these last days, to bring about the kingdom of heaven and to take this devil out of power, finally. But now I'm going to go to Psalms chapter 82, verses 4 to 5. Deliver the poor and needy, rid them out of the hand of the wicked. And the poor and the needy is speaking of the Israelites, the true children of Israel, who are known as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today. And the wicked is Esau Edom, the border of wickedness in Malachi 1 verse 4. and the wicked whom the earth has been given into the hands of in Job 9, verse 24. And as we read in that article, we clearly see why we need not just us, but the other people in this planet needs to be delivered from this devil. He's just doing everything in his power to make things worse because he's got that God complex. Verse 5, they know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. Esau's knowledge and wisdom is as darkness because what? It's contrary to the light of the laws, statutes, and commandments. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. People are out of course. The relationship between men and women is destroyed. The environment's out of course. The animals. And if Esau, Edom was allowed to, really, manipulate the weather even more so than he's doing now, the foundations of the earth would further be out of course. What did it say at the end of this article? A piece from the Columbia Climate School points out that research does not yet capture the full consequences of interfering with sunlight. It notes that studies show possible weakening of the ozone layer and shifts in rainfall that could reshape farming, ecosystems, and air quality. The authors say Earth's climate reacts in complex ways and that blocking sunlight could deliver surprises no one wants. The earth languisheth, and what? All the foundations of the earth are out of course. But now I'm going to go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. I'm going to start at verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first. The nation of Israel falling away from their identity, which has already happened. Yet the, 70 AD, where the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, fled Jerusalem. Some went into Europe. Some went into the west coast of Africa and, started, following after different religions and customs and ideas. And then what did you have? The transatlantic slave trade, which brought them to the Americas, where the northern kingdom, so-called Latinos and Native Americans already were. They went into the Assyrian captivity. And then after that, they came to Arsareth, America, another land, which you can read in 2nd Esdras chapter 13. But we're in the time of the Great Awakening, when Israel, especially the elect, are waking up and coming back to their identity. And as we read Matthew 24, verse 22, the earth, the days are being shortened for the elect's sake, or else no flesh would be saved. Except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition or destruction, the wicked, who the poor and the needy need to be delivered from, Esau, Edom. And, sin is the transgression of the law. And what? Esau, Edom's society is built on doing everything contrary to the laws, statutes, and commandments. The earth is at a course because back in Isaiah 24, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenant. Verse 4, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High. Remember what that devil, Noah Yuval Harari, said, we no longer, need to fear the Most High because we are the Most High now, in so many words. We can control the weather. We can control people and their thoughts through AI and technology. Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he as the Most High sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High. And, with this technology that the Lord has given to this devil, he seems as a God on earth. To be able to manipulate the weather itself is a godlike power. But, hey, it was only temporary. And we are at the time when Esau, Edom is being taken out of power. You can see his power, military, economies, morality, what have you, in the different places he's dwelling at, especially in the so-called Western world, is collapsing rapidly. Verse 5, remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things, and now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time, which were in the times of the wicked being revealed. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Because back then when the Apostle Paul wrote this, Esau was in rulership back then as the Romans. Only he who now letteth will let the Lord, allowing Esau to rule until he be taken out of the way, until he's reached those bounds which he cannot pass, and the Lord takes him out of power, which we can see, hey, he's just about reached those bounds. He's pushing full steam ahead with his NWO, where he wants everybody in 15-minute cities with micro C-hip implants in them, which is the mark of the beast in Revelation 13, verse 16. And once he rolls it out and mandatorily implements it, shortly thereafter, that's when Yahushua is going to make his second coming to take him out of power. Verse 8, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, which he's doing right now with the prophets, chiefly the men of GMS or Great Millstone, as well as the sincere brothers coming in the spirit of GMS, going out onto the highways and byways preaching this word, as well as putting up video epistles like this, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, Yahushua making his second coming, Yahushua being the Son of the Most High, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus. So, with that article, that's just another perfect example lining up Esau, Edom with the wicked in the scriptures. And another thing, with him able to control, the weather and, have, his means to do so with satellites and other objects in low orbit space, that further reveals him, because going to Esau's blessings in Genesis 27, I'm going to start at verse 38 and read to 40. It says, and Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept, because, Jacob had supplanted, the blessing to the kingdom of heaven, to have eternal rulership over everything from Esau. Verse 39, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. The earth has been given into the hands of the wicked. And we can clearly see that Esau is, in control of the planet right now. And every major resource trade has his fingers in it, controlling it. Thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above, not just things on the earth, but in the sky and even low orbit space. Going back to that article, Esau talking about putting satellites in space to manipulate the weather. He has that ability because that was a part of his blessing from the Lord. And by thy sword shalt thou live. Esau's other blessing, which he used to gain the fatness of the earth, his military might and prowess. And shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And now I'm going to close it out in Jeremiah 31, verses 35 to 37, because this man, as the elder Yashuamba says all the time, is crazy. He's just going to keep going until he's stopped. And, on the one hand, Esau controlling the weather is for him to gain more power. But on the other hand, as we're going to read in Jeremiah 31, thus saith Yahweh, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. Yahweh of hosts is his name. The Lord, through Yahushai and, the 144,000, created the sun, the moon, the stars, everything to work in its perfect order. It didn't need any enhancements or changing. Verse 36, if those ordinances, such as the sun for a light by day, depart from before me, saith Yahweh, Then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. And, in the spirit, that's another reason, Esau trying to block out the sun. The elites are well aware of verses like this. And in his insane mind, he thinks that by, blocking out the sun, or, they were talking about shooting nukes at the moon during the Cold War, to destroy the moon, that he's going to be able to what? Get rid of the nation of Israel, as it says here. If the sun and the moon were to depart, so would the seed of Israel before me. That he can get rid of the nation of Israel and try to get his blessing and the birthright back, which at the end of the day, that's what all this is about. Esau, trying to get that blessing and birthright to be the eternal ruler over everything from the seed of Jacob. Verse 37, thus saith Yahweh, if heaven above can be measured and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath. All this pseudoscience Esau comes out with. Satellites and telescopes to map out the heavens, or trying to go deep under the sea to map out the bottom of the sea. I will also cast off the seed of Israel for all that they have done, saith Yahweh. But all these things cannot and will not happen. Jacob and, but through him, the 12 tribes of Israel have the blessing and the birthright to the kingdom of heaven. And there's no get backs for you Edomites. You're about to be taken out of power, and the earth will finally be at peace, as it said back in 2 Thessalonians. Only he who now letteth will let, the Lord allowing Esau to rule until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, who the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Point blank, period. So that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere, Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharallah, and until next time, Shalom.